Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Now, I had somebody hit me up because, they like to send text messages. I don't get to all of them. But when I have some downtime, I'll go through the text messages, and they were like, look, Papoose is the real victim here, Hood. And I'm like, what are we talking about? Hip-hop and shit? I was like, if it ties into boxing, then maybe I'll have a conversation. They're like, look, man, they're trying to get into boxing, trying to get into being boxing promoters. They're trying to learn everything they can. They're trying to go on and do big things in the sport of boxing, but y'all out here and the fans are out here thinking that Papoose may not have the best intentions for the sport of boxing. When Papoose definitely is all about boxing, trying to represent the sport in a positive light. He understands the challenges that, he faces, but he and his team getting involved with boxing. But Claressa, and y'all thinking that maybe he's to blame for some of her behavior. They're like, she been that way before he met her. So just try to understand. And I'm like, first of all, man, you obviously have an agenda here. But it makes for an interesting talking point because Hood Champion's fair. Now, of course, I didn't respond after I said, cool, got it. I'll drop a little video. So let's drop the video and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Now, I still have a way I feel. I feel we got to sit back and wait and see how everything plays out. With Claressa, Papoose, win records, Demetrius Salita, the Zeus Network shit, all the drama online, social media, all the things that are happening to make us feel Claressa as a two-time gold medalist is getting further and further away from reaching her true potential. But, hey, it's all a conversation. Nobody knows. We're just talking. Just like those who support her, Papoose, win records, and every other female fighter out there and male fighter out there, everyone just has an opinion, and it's just a conversation. Now, for years, fans have been blaming Papoose, for some of the controversies surrounding Claressa Shields. But that some people say it's fair, some people say it's not fair. Me, I'm neutral. It's just a conversation, so understand, Bob Marley, I didn't shoot the sheriff, right? Now, many people are asking a very uncomfortable question because they hit me up, and they're like, nah, you say you're neutral, so just throw out a video. I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. You know what I'm saying? I'll throw out a video. And they were asking the question. They were like, yo, has Claressa always been this way? And we're just seeing it more now. And I'm like, I watched The Fire Inside yesterday. I watched it. And what I realized is Claressa and what we're seeing, that is who Claressa is. That is who she is, people. And when you look back at her career, Claressa was outspoken, combative, extremely confident long before Papoose entered the picture. 8 years ago, the same fiery personality that fuels her, I'd say in-ring dominance, it was on full display. And when you watch that movie, you'll see she had that same attitude she has now. She had that shit long before she became a professional fighter. So is Pap really influencing the drama, or is he simply caught in the middle? I don't know. But some observers believe Papoose actually tried to guide Claressa in both the personal life and professional branding, encouraging a more marketable approach. I think Papoose is. I think he has his own. He wants to make. I think he's all about the money. Her making money, him making money, his team making money. I ain't gonna lie. But we gotta wait and see how it all plays out. Now, others believe he and his team are simply opportunists riding the wave of her fame, and it's not really about her. It's just all about them and the team. I kind of see it a bit of both ways, but the bottom line is Claressa's the star. They know that, but she may not know that. So there are a lot of theories out here that are gaining traction. And the one is, what if Papoose is the one who really wants peace, professionalism, long-term networking opportunities, no drama? He already got the shit going on with the relationship with Claressa and then Remy and everything else that fans are really, pointing at and highlighting every single day. Maybe he's like, man, I just want this shit to go away. Claressa, we need to stay off the internet. You need to stop talking about all this craziness. Just leave shit alone. And maybe she's like, nah, I'm going to do things my own way, no matter the consequence. So let's talk about that. Has Claressa Shields always had this personality? Why Papoose may be getting blamed unfairly? The difference between being authentic and being marketable, and whether Papoose is trying to be kind of behind the scenes help, and the possibility that he's simply riding the wave until the moment to step away as well. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be all, we don't know. We know what we see and we have opinions, but time going to tell. Because right now, shit looking a bit rockery and headed down a catastrophic course. But let's try to break it down. Is Papoose the problem, or is he trying to manage the chaos? Now, Claressa's personality, folks, that shit didn't start with Papoose. Okay? One of the strongest arguments against blaming Papoose is real simple. Claressa Shields had the same fiery personality long before he was publicly associated with her. Traits like that were visible was that shit: extreme competitiveness, confidence bordering on confrontation, confrontational, willingness to call out critics, emotional reactions of disrespect, and being very toxic. Okay? Now, some would say those traits helped her become a champion, helped her go and dominate the Olympics, but also contributed to the public drama. And there were things happening behind the scenes that people weren't privy to, but now as she's grown bigger, her spotlight's grown more, you see her being more outward with who and what she really is. So the question starts becoming, did Papoose change her? Or are we simply seeing more exposure of who she was? And I'm going to tell you right now, that's what you're seeing with Claressa is who she already is. Who she was and what she is. You look at the sister, the poltergeist, you look at the other people involved in her life, they're all the same. What will make you think Claressa going to be any different? Why? Because she said, I'm cuckoo, I'm Cocoa, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, I'm Cocoa, man, please. Y'all think that can make a difference? Now, this thing about Papoose, I believe he tried to help her in the beginning. I do. I believe when he says something like, she does what she wants, she doesn't listen. I believe that 100% because when I watched that movie, I saw she wasn't listening to people. You know what I'm saying? She's very headstrong. Whether she's right or wrong, she doesn't care. But that's another perspective that doesn't get discussed much. Did Papoose really try to help her? Now he's just kind of sitting back like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to just ride the wave. Because some people believe, Papoose really tried to help, man. You know, he was out there in the back in the day talking about black love and Remy, whatever. Men will be men, women will be women. Relationships have up and downs, get a bit tumultuous at times, and either work out, they don't work out. So what happens in people's personal lives is their problem. But when it comes to Claressa and professionally, they feel like Papoose really tried to come and guide her, maybe try to encourage her for better branding decisions, help with network opportunities, build a stronger public image. But she's like, nah. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do what I want. Because Claressa is known for being extremely independent. Now, I'm not saying Papoose didn't see an opportunity to make some money. But maybe he saw an opportunity to really make serious money, but there's some things she had to tighten up. And she's just like, no, I am what I am. Why do I have to be likable? I want to be mean. I want to be the bully. Just like in the goddamn movie when she was a teenager. That's why I say go watch that movie. You know, if she feels strongly about something, she'll stand on it regardless of outside advice and the fallout. She does not care. She'll go down, she'd rather go down in flames doing what she feels that is right, opposed to doing what the whole world that is telling her is correct, what has been proven as a winning strategy and been I would say the more optimal direction. But no, she's gonna go and do what she wants. You know what I mean? And that's why I think it can make it difficult for anyone around her to try to control situations, which results in chaos. And now you're doing a bunch of damage control. Now there's a perception problem because Papoose is now closely connected to her publicly. Many people assume, he supports everything she says. He encourages the confrontations. He's benefiting from the drama. Now, I'm not saying that he does or doesn't. I'm just saying it happens. He's there, and he don't seem to really have nothing to say. But that assumption may not reflect what's actually happening behind the scenes. You look at him in that house when she was giving him that plate of fish. And she's like, tell me how that fish tastes. Rate that fish. And Papoose was like, oh, man, it's amazing. She's like, nah, No, rate that fish. Your black ass over there and rate that fish. You better rate that fish. Papoose was like, on a 1 out of 10, it's 11. Balls on wheels. She was like, man, please. You better get your black ass over there and say that that's a 1 out of 10, that's an 11. And eat that slice of white bread. I know it got a little mold on it, but it's okay. Just tear it off. Tear it up. Matter of fact, fuck, just give it. Here, tear that piece of mold off, give it. I'll eat it. Here. I'll go ahead and sit down and eat that Puerto Rican fish, that Simone. Eat that Simone. So some people feel Papoose is out here shook daddy. He out here not wanting to upset the apple cart, you know what I'm saying? But behind the scenes, you just don't know. But sometimes a person closest to that situation simply becomes the easiest target, and that could be Papoose. Now, this whole thing about, Papoose is a true professional. Professional? Oh, he's an opportunist. Opportunist? Look. I just think opinions about Papoose and his team are sharply divided. Some critics believe they saw a business opportunity. They aligned themselves with a champion. They're capitalizing on her fame. But supporters are going to argue the opposite. They're going to say, he has experience in the entertainment industry. He understands branding and promotion. He's had some success. He's had some failures. He's had some stagnation. But he's learned from all that. He tried to take all that experience, impart that to Claressa, elevate her career. But she just doesn't want to listen. So I think both interpretations exist depending on who you ask. You know what I'm saying? But nonetheless, when you look at Papoose, the ride the wave theory. Another theory gaining attention that Papoose may be simply riding the Claressa Shields wave. That doesn't necessarily mean exploitation, people. It could mean he's supporting her career while it grows, making sure that, him and his team, because if she grows, they grow, so they're just making sure everything, all the stars are lined up. He's helping where possible because, obviously, they say that he's a guy who's a protector, but he's always there and just seems to be whatever she needs. He said, carry a bag, whatever. I don't have a problem, basically giving the support she needs. Avoiding unnecessary conflict. He doesn't seem to be someone who wants to be in front of the camera involved in all the drama. But he's there, quiet, but he's there on the camera. But he's not one that you see adding to any bullshit. And some believe he may be choosing peace over confrontation. Others believe he's stirring the pot quietly behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, he may be disagreeing privately or he may be agreeing privately with certain decisions that are being made. But you really don't know. You know what I'm saying? So the real question is, it may not be about Papoose at all. It may be, can anyone actually control Claressa Shields? Her success has come from being fiercely independent, extremely confident, unwilling to compromise, right? Sometimes you got to be that way as a fighter. And those same qualities that created her into a champion, it's also created a lot of friction in the public life. So when it comes to Papoose, I try to put myself in his shoes. If you have a woman that won't listen to you, my thing is, why be in that relationship? Now, of course, I don't know what their story is, but I'm sitting here thinking, if I'm someone who's trying to get involved in boxing, maybe that's just the mentality. They think there needs to be a confrontation, there needs to be the drama, there needs to be the chaos. Someone needs to be a villain. And I mean, hey, who else to be the villain in the sport of boxing outside of Claressa Shields? They talk about the men and what the men did to become successful, what Floyd Mayweather did, and guys like Ricardo Mayorga and Roberto Duran and Adrian Broner too. But this is the thing I'm gonna keep telling people, right? I don't know what Papoose is doing over there, but I know that those guys are about their money. I put it to you that way. So is he helping Claressa? Probably. But in helping her, is he helping himself and his team? 100%. 100%, because they weren't around years ago. You know what I'm saying? And Claressa seemed to be doing just fine. And this is why I wish we knew just how much money was actually being made over there. Because if Claressa was making 1.5 million, in her fights, so to come out here and suggest she's getting paid $2 million a fight now, but with all this drama, I just have a tough time wondering the $2 million. Would she have been making that even if she didn't do this deal with Win Records? Could she have renegotiated instead of the 1.5 guarantee, a $2 million guarantee without Win Records, to where she keeps most of that money? But said now whatever she's making, so the $2 million a fight is a guarantee. So let's understand this, right? When she was making 1.5, it was just her, whoever was on her team, Dimitri Salita. But at $2 million, it's her, whoever's on her team, Papoose, the Win Records, and Dimitri Salita. So that extra $500,000, she ain't getting that. Matter of fact, she may be getting less than she may be getting less than what she was making before with all these people on her team now. Now remember, I don't know that. But that's why I wish we had access to some of the financial documents so we can sit back and look and see just how shit's being broken down, to see if she's really making money hand over fist, if the $8 million deal is real. You know what I'm saying? But we just don't have access to it, so we got to just leave it alone. But it makes for a really, really interesting conversation. I'm even trying to think, have I been a good guy at one point in time? It was someone who just wouldn't listen to me. And I was just like, all right, whatever. And you know what? I have. I've been in situations where I've had people, some females who didn't listen, some females who listened, in a work environment, had some superiors who didn't listen, some subordinates who didn't listen. And I knew I was 100% right. And they ended up falling on their faces. But all I could do is sit back and be like, all right, I'll just ride the wave and we'll see where it ends up. But I'm going to make sure what I have control of, I have control of it. But if somebody's ship sinks, it ain't going to be because of me. And I'm going to make sure I'm okay. That could be what Papoose is like, all right, well, I'm going to make sure I'm okay. My team's okay because she don't listen. You know what I'm saying? Or it could be where he's the one there sailing the goddamn ship, saying, no, we need to do this, this, and that. And she's so caught up in him and whatever she feels emotionally that she's just following along. But for guys who are trying to get involved in sports, get involved in boxing, it's not easy. But at the same time, if you have, I would think if it was me and I got myself into a situation with someone I wanted to take things a kind of way and they didn't agree, but we're already locked in contractually, I would just have to try to adjust fire and still try to make it a win-win for everybody until I had the opportunity to break lock with them and go on now and do my thing and leave them on their own. And that could be what we're going to see here. He and his team are like, all right, well, we're just going to do what we need to do, make sure we don't lose any money. And after this contract is over, we all going to bounce. And Claressa could be back where she was by herself. And maybe she with Dimitri Salita, maybe not. But she may not be with the rapper Papoose. She may not be with him at all. And remember, this is boxing. Them guys are into boxing, into promotion. Claressa's a fighter. So we just got to sit back and wait and see how all this plays out. And I've heard of fighters having managers. Like Shane Mosley's wife was his manager. I'm trying to think who else had a wife as a manager or a husband as a manager. I don't know, one who comes right to mind is Shane Mosley. I think Tim Bradley's wife may have been involved as a manager. I'm sure the others was a wife or a husband involved, but the bottom line is it can work out. But then, there are times where, I don't know if Nonito Donaire's wife is a manager or something for Nonito Donaire, but the bottom line is it can work, but when it's not working, it's not fun. So, interesting question: is Papoose the real victim? Papoose. Who are we blaming? The right person or the wrong person? To be honest with you, I understand the personal shit people like to talk about. That'll probably inundate the comments. But it's just really interesting, man. Really interesting to sit back and think. She has 3 fights remaining. At the end of those 3 fights, is Papoose and the team going to be there? Or are they going to be out because they said it was a struggle to get through the last 3 fights because we had somebody who doesn't listen. It didn't follow the blueprint, follow the game plan, and did things their way. And now they got the experience they need to go on out here in boxing and do what they need without Claressa Shields. I don't know. But y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.